Today on BBQ, we are making pastrami. Not just your ordinary pastrami, but we're gonna add a few extra little ingredients in here, make it a little, our own. So let's get to it. All right, so I'm gonna confess. A few months ago, I was thinking, what happens if I smoke corned beef? Nobody's ever done that, right? Turns out it's pastrami. So here we go. We got about a 4 1/4 pound piece of brisket here. We're doing the brisket flat because I wanted it more. I wanted less of the marbling, the extra fat in there. I wanted to be able to slice it, and I think the flat's going to do nice for that. So basically the way we make corned beef is we'll brine it with some of this pink curing salt here, which has nitrites in it. That basically helps prevent botulism and anything growing onto the meat while it's brining. Make sure that you're using the proper ratios on that pink salt. It has the nitrites and they can be harmful, so just a disclaimer. Heads up. So for the brine, we've got a gallon of water here. We're going to use 5 teaspoons of that pink curing salt. That's going in. We've got 2.5 cups of kosher sea salt. Now I highly recommend using the kosher sea salt because it just seems to have the perfect salinity content for this. And then about 3/4 cup of dark brown sugars going in. All right, we'll just give this a good stir. Make sure everything gets well incorporated here. Now, I'm using cold water here for the brine. You don't want to put hot water over the meat. If you use hot water, because it helps dissolve the sugars and the salts a little easier, just make sure you put it in the fridge or just cool it down all the way to room temp before you do, because otherwise it'll mess with the meat a little bit. So you want to make sure that the water's cold before you put the meat to it. All right, let's get to these pickling spices. So we've got 2 tablespoons of yellow mustard seed going in. We've got 2 tablespoons of black mustard seed is going in. About a tablespoon of allspice, just whole allspice. About a 1/4 teaspoon of cloves go in. We've got 2 star anise, throw those in. And about 2 tablespoons of coriander seed. We've also got about 5 fresh bay leaves. Obviously you don't have fresh bay leaves, you can, use the other ones, the dried ones. We got a cinnamon stick, and then this is where we're getting a little crazy here. We've got 2 pasilla or ancho dried chilies here are going in. What we're gonna do is we're gonna go roast these on the stove just to kind of heat everything up, get that fragrance going. And so let's do it. We have a dry skillet here. It's been heating up on medium low for a few minutes just to make sure the pan's evenly heated. And then we're just going to dump all this in. And we'll add these chilies in here. And you're just basically going to want to keep these moving. You don't want it to burn. You don't want it to, you're not really trying to cook this. You're just trying to release some of the fragrance of it. And already I'm getting whiffs of that star anise and the clove, the allspice. It already smells amazing. You can hear it kind of already crackling. And one way to kind of tell that you can already tell that it's done is you see the little seeds popping a little bit. So that's all we want to do. We're not trying to get this crazy. So this is going to go over here, set that off to the side, and that's all going in the brine. So one thing I forgot to mention is those pink curing salts are what give corned beef that bright red color, even though it's been, cooked or boiled. It doesn't turn into like a dark meat. So that's what's kind of cool about those salts. So let's get this thing assembled, all right? We've got our brine here is going in. And then I got this collapsible brining thing from Cuisinart off Amazon. This thing's bitching. It folds up into almost nothing. And you're just going to want to make sure that you clean everything really well, because obviously we're trying to prevent bacteria growth. The curing salt should do that, but I just like to wash everything in hot water really well and just make sure that everything's clean. So there's still a little residual salt. We'll make sure that we kind of mix in. Brine's done. All the other ingredients going in here. We got those pasillas, the cinnamon sticks going in. All those nice toasted, awesome smelling spices are in. Go ahead and stir this up a little bit. Last thing going in wouldn't be BBQ and we weren't using a beer on something. So today we got a beer. It's IPA from a little brewery in San Diego here called Kensington Brewing. And it's just a small, local, little hole-in-the-wall brewery, but this IPA is actually really tasty. Just a straightforward West Coast IPA. It's a nice light color if you pour it in a glass. I've done it. That's going in. So just add a little bit of extra, I don't know, IPA hoppy flavor going in. And now it's just time for the star of the show. Like I said, we got about a 4 1/4 pound piece. I've already kind of trimmed it. Since I'm going to be making pastrami, I want to be able to slice it into sandwiches. So I've kind of cut it as perfectly square as possible here. And let's get this in the brine. And there we have it. Corned beef, going to be turned into pastrami in the brine. One thing you're going to want to do is weigh it down. You don't want any of the meat hanging out outside of the liquid here. So we just got a couple plates that we're going to weigh that down with. Got our lid. If you don't have a lid for whatever you're using, just use a piece of aluminum foil or saran wrap to cover it. All right, here we go. This thing is done. We're going to pop it in the fridge. We'll see you guys in about 5 days. We'll smoke this thing. We'll eat it. It's going to be amazing. See you then. It's been 10 days. The pastrami's been brining here. We'll get this thing out. Check it out. Looking pretty good. All right, so what we're going to do next, we're going to rinse this off in the sink here and then get this thing rubbed with some spices. Okay, so we got this thing rinsed off. We're just going to pat it dry. And I know it seems kind of counterintuitive to brine this thing for all that time and then rinse off everything that you just did, but if you don't do that, it really will become way too salty. So we'll just let this thing kind of chill out while we make the rub that's going to go on the outside of this. Okay, now for this rub, we're going to do this in the mortar and pestle here, so we can just kind of break everything up. We've got a 1/4 cup of black peppercorn. We got a 1/4 cup of Szechuan peppercorn. Now it's just going to add a little bit of tingliness. That gives it, like, the Szechuan peppercorn, it adds like this weird numbing tingly thing to your mouth. Ton of flavor. I think it's gonna be awesome in this. We've got a tablespoon of fennel seed, a tablespoon of mustard seed, and a tablespoon of coriander. And then we're just gonna grind this up in this thing. Rub is done. Check it out. Looks amazing. So now we're just going to coat this thing top and bottom with this rub. And it doesn't have to be super finely ground. You want kind of that coarseness in this rub, and that's going to add just all kinds of flavor and texture to it. And there you have it. I cannot wait to get this thing on the Yoder, so let's get out there. Okay guys, here we go. Smoker set up, 250, pastrami's ready to go. We're just throwing this on the top rack. So we're gonna pull it at 150, we'll take it off, we'll put it in like a little steam bath, bring it back up to 205 total cook time. It's gonna add a little bit more moisture to it. It's gonna be amazing. So we'll see you guys in a few hours. Here we go, 3.5 hours in. We just hit 150 on the internals. What we're gonna do now is we're gonna steam it. So why use water when you can use beer, right? So we're gonna throw this into this rack. And one of the things I did is I heated this up already because you don't want to waste the time in the smoker just heating up the liquid. So we're gonna put the pastrami straight onto this rack, elevated above the liquid, aka the beer. And then we're just gonna cover this in foil. Okay, so now we got this back in. We're going straight over the firebox. The diffusion plate's still in there, but I want it more close to the heat. We're gonna ramp this thing up to 325 and then hopefully power through this stall pretty quick. Hopefully get done with this thing in about an hour, hour and a half. So, we'll see you guys then. Okay, here we go. It's been another hour. We just hit 205. We're pulling this. We're gonna let it rest. We're just gonna leave it in the tray that it's already in with the liquid and just let it rest in there for about 45 minutes. So we'll get this thing off. Oh man, the smells on that are amazing. So can't wait to make these sandwiches. We're gonna be making some pastrami sandwiches. We got some rye bread. Gonna use some like spicy mustard, a little bit of Swiss cheese. It's gonna be great. So we'll see you guys in just a minute. Here we go, moment of truth. Been a process, I'm not gonna lie, this is definitely a process. 10 days brining, all day smoking. Oh man, the smells coming off this are absolutely incredible. Let's see what we're working with here. Check it out. Looks amazing. So you can see the steaming just makes it to where it's so just tender and juicy. I'm gonna peel off a little piece here. Let's give it a try. The flavors on that are so incredible. Get all that Szechuan peppercorn completely comes through. The fennel you're getting, oh man, you get the smoke. That pink curing salt's the reason why it still stays super pink like this. Same thing with the corned beef, but oh, I'm excited for the sandwich. So let's get to it. We're gonna spray the bread with olive oil here. You could use butter if you like. Olive oil is just a little, I guess, healthier option. And that's going straight in. We've got Swiss cheese going on. We've got that awesome pastrami here. Layer this on. This has been my go-to mustard lately, Sierra Nevada's stout mustard. This stuff is absolutely incredible. So that's gonna go on the other side of this bread. And that's gonna add a nice spiciness to go with this. That goes on, and then we'll just spray the oil on the other side as well. Check this thing out, looks amazing. I forgot to mention we use dill rye for the bread. We got Swiss cheese, that homemade pastrami, and that stout butter from, or stout mustard from Sierra Nevada. So good. Kind of speechless on this one, to be honest. I love corned beef. It's one of my favorites. Pastrami, just smoking it, throwing it in a sandwich. Just eating it plain regular. Absolutely incredible. All the flavors that are coming through from the rub, from the brine. Can't go wrong. Guys, we're barbecuing. Don't forget to subscribe. Take any thumbs up. See you guys next time. Cheers.